And I think a lot of the listeners are in the same boat. They might be making money, maybe more money than someone who has a boss and is a typical employee, but they're working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. They might be having family issues because of it. They don't take enough time away from their business. And how do you even start working with someone like that? Someone comes to you, they've had success in business, but their personal life isn't where they want it to be. What is step one?
Well, okay, I'm going to back up just a second and just say, I know how to make that kind of big transition because I did it myself. So I'm just going to back up in my story a little bit and put a pin in that question. Just say that, in October of 2013, right at the height of my powers, when I was going on Fox and CNBC and Bloomberg, on a monthly basis, I was hospitalized 3 times with a chronic stress-related illness, and I ended up having emergency surgery. And the doctor basically said, I need you to work somewhere between 30 and 40 hours a week, which for somebody in finance is like basically telling a pro basketball player that he can play basketball, he just has to play with one hand behind his back, which is also to say that that's never going to happen. And so what I did within 2 months is I was able to put together not just one thing, but multiple pieces of the productivity puzzle and go from working 80 hours a week to 8 hours, right? So within 2 months, actually, no, it's 8 hours a month. So within 2 months, I went from working 80 hours a week to effectively 2 hours a week. That's a 40-time reduction in my workload. And, today, fast forward, I've been using that and continuing that process where now we have the lifestyle that I sort of always wanted, but doubted that I could have, where we have a multi-million-dollar business. We live in paradise. We live in a home that we've paid off in cash. I have financial security. I have time freedom, right? So I know what it takes to make a big transition mid-career and actually pull it off and have dependence and be the breadwinner at the same time, right? So your question, now back to your question, which is like, what's step one? And step one, very simply, is ownership, right? And I know this is like, maybe people want to hear like something that's more step 5 or step 10, but no, step one, and if you do it right, it's the most important step, is this is the ownership mantra. Try this out for size. See how this fits. I'm responsible for everything in my life, good or bad. And I'm going to be the solution for every problem, right? When we say that, I'm responsible for everything in my life, good or bad, and I'm going to be the solution to every problem, it 100% turns everything back on us, and all the things that we're complaining about, we're saying, well, I wish I could live the life that I want to live, but if not for this thing or my boss or this circumstance or whatever, when you get into ownership and you recognize that nobody did this to you, right? And even if they did do something to you, it's not helping you get out of it to just sort of observe or hold up evidence in the court of like public opinion of like, don't you see why I can't live the life that I'm living? It's because this person or this circumstances. If you like that life, go ahead, but it's not going to give you a pathway forward. Nathan, I'm sorry, I'm on such a soapbox, but let me give you a quick like story that just perfectly personifies this. So when I was in finance, I had sort of like this meteoric rise until I hit this like ceiling. And it was this boss that at the time I considered to be the worst boss in the world. And I thought that like, I didn't see any ownership in the situation. I thought he was just a total Nazi and holding me back. And then I got the worst thing that a victim can get, which is proof. So I got CC'd in on an email accidentally where he was telling all of my higher ups all the reasons that I shouldn't get promoted. So I realized they were thinking about promoting me, but he was actively preventing me and undermining my promotion. And that cost me another 2 years of sitting back and being like, see, I would be promoted now except for that guy. But what broke me loose was this extreme ownership mantra. I'm the source of every result in my life, good or bad, and I'm going to be the source of any solution. What happened there was I started to ask myself, okay, well, Demir, how did you contribute to this poor relationship with this boss? I mean, he's not undermining you for no reason. Right? Like you threatened him, right? You did things to undermine him, right? So I started at what did I do? And then I asked myself, now how am I going to be the one who solves this? Not anybody else. Nobody's going to come to my rescue. And what's interesting is I asked myself a simple question. How could I be so good they can't ignore me, right? And what is a promotion if not permission to make money for your business? So I asked myself, how can I make $1 million for this business this year? created a product with nobody's permission, nobody's help. I created a product for the company, ended up making millions and millions of dollars for the company in 2008 when the markets were crashing and nobody knew where real estate was going. I had created a data predictor that showed people where real estate prices were going. Well, guess what happened? Of course they had to promote me. It didn't matter how many objections that boss had. When you make your company $8 million in one quarter, right, you're gonna get promoted, right? And so I know that's a mindset and people are looking for tactics, but the truth is that the journey to lifestyle freedom is actually more of a journey in the 6 inches between your ears than it is some kind of outward journey. Yes, there will be things happening out there. Yes, we're going to be leveraging technology and outsourcing and tools. But at the end of the day, there's going to be so many things that happen to you. And if you're just going to fall down and cry and get victimized by things, then you're never going to get there. And you might as well stop even hoping for it, because you are your own superhero that's going to swoop in and save your own day. Sorry to get coachy on that, but that's the honest answer to the question.
No, I totally agree. I mean, even with hiring, which is what I talk to people a lot. I mean, there's so many things you can't control, from personal issues to human mistakes. And you can spend 24 hours a day worrying about all the things you can't control. But if you change your mindset and you only focus on the things that you can control, how you can communicate better, how you can manage and be a better leader, how you can decide who you want to hire and improve your process, it's a lot better use of your time just from a logical perspective. So I love that. Yeah. What's the next step after that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the next step is you have to ask yourself, let me back up and say, there's a tsunami coming. The tsunami is AI and technology, right? And I think you can ride that wave to tremendous success, or you can be engulfed in that wave and buried, right? And I think the riding the wave, sorry, gracias. My housekeeper just brought in some coffee for me. Just in time too. So talk about lifestyle design. Like, we have a live-in maid. We live here in Colombia. So like, you know, I didn't have to make this coffee. It just got brought into me. It's fantastic. No, you know, surfing the wave looks like the people who are going to wrap themselves in technology. Here's what I mean. At the juicy core, they'll still be a human being with all of the amazing capabilities that human beings have, but they're going to wrap themselves in an Iron Man suit of tools, technology, and systems, right? And that Iron Man suit is just like Tony Stark. It's going to allow them to do things that they couldn't do before. And, you know, it's going to allow them to fly. It's going to allow them to shoot laser beams out of their eye and, you know, lift tanks that are 10 times their weight, right? That's the point of productivity, technology, systems, is to magnify you. But if you assume that it's not, if you assume that there's no treading water, think about this, because I think this is the biggest mistake that people make. They think that I'll be able to just tread water into this sea change, right? Like, I'll be fine. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing until I retire. What if there is no treading water? What if you're either going to use these technologies and leverage them and stay apace, or you're going to fall behind, right? What if you're not moving forward, then you're fall behind? What if that's the paradigm? Then it calls you forth that you have to learn how to use these tools and technologies and systems. You must, just to stay abreast of the change that's going to sweep over us, right? And so what we do here at Lifehack Bootcamp, in the simplest terms, is we build people their Iron Man suit. That's what we do. We show them how to not just be Tony Stark, but actually be Iron Man, build a suit that will fly them to the battlefield, and they can do glorious battle to create the life that they really want to be creating and create the business that they want to be creating.
And I think a lot of people's objection to that is, I'm not tech savvy, or I don't feel comfortable doing it. What do you tell those people?
So the truth is that tech fear you're talking about, you know what another way to think about that? Comes back to that victim mindset. It's not just tech fear. You're allowing yourself to be victimized by technology.